Well, hello comrades, and welcome to Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I'd like to introduce you all to what is, in my opinion, possibly the best ever city simulation ever made. That being Workers and Resources, specifically on realistic difficulty. Let me know if you want to see more of this game and maybe this video to continue as a series, but either way today, I'd like to spend some time with you just playing what is just such a wonderfully crafted and one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in video games in quite a long time. So we'll start with a custom game together and we'll go for a brand new Republic is Born. There are other options available. These other cities or other maps with the people on them have existing cities on them. And there's also a world map pack as well, where you can play the Eastern United States, France, Estonia. They're just maps, they're no factions of course. You are still building a Soviet Republic, but today we'll start with a brand new one. So in my opinion, the best way to experience this game is realistic mode. I think it's how it was intended to be played. That doesn't mean it's the right way to play by any means. If you want to enjoy hard, medium, easy, or very easy, or just a totally custom sandbox, then you do what you want, but I think the game's extreme management comes from realistic difficulty, which turns everything on. If you've never really experienced this game before, we have to manage everything, including the delivery of materials, energy, water waste, maintenance of vehicles, summer's seasonal mechanics, building fires, pollution, education can be complex or simple. So I really love this. It's a totally customizable sandbox, really cool to see for a city simulator. I am going to change mine to static sun just for YouTube because nighttime will be pretty dark and YouTube hates dark videos. And we'll also start in the 1960s as well. But otherwise, let's go ahead and start a brand new Soviet Republic. So here we are. So first of all, let's pause our game by pressing the spacebar. So the maps are enormous. We can hit M to open up this little menu down here, which gives us a big topographical view of what's ahead. We've got mountains over here. We'll also notice that on the Workers and Resources maps that there is the presence of borders, which is quite important. Two different types. We have a Soviet border here, obviously indicated by the red star, and then a NATO border indicated by the blue star on the other side of the river. And these are present across multiple locations on the map. Realistic difficulty, starting out, the customs house is our lifeline. We will bring in foreign workers here. Obviously we have no one. Now to talk about population in Workers and Resources, they really are almost a resource themselves. Your population plays a hugely important role. If you don't have population to build, then really we're going to rely on foreign workers for a lot of this today. So when we come to our border crossing with our dirt road, we can actually turn on a wireframe over here. And then we can also turn that on to magnetic snap too. And we can also activate topographic lines so we can see our topography. Now I envision our city sort of taking place around here, right? There's going to be industries, there's another border over here as well, which is worth noting. And let's get started with some very basic road frames. So I'm going to bring these two roads up here on a straight angle like that. We'll do 880 meters to start us off with. And we'll do this for all three. Now, the road tools handle very differently. A lot of my audience, at least, watching this video are probably familiar with City Skylines' road tools more than anything. And a lot of the rules don't really translate here. For example, to allow these vehicles to cross between the different roads, I can draw the roads together like this and they'll transition them no problem. This would be a no-go in CS having segments that small, but it doesn't really matter too much here, depending on the type of road, of course. So now we have these three roads emanating from our border crossing. Coming up to here, let's begin to create some traffic systems. Let's also turn off the snapping here too, the wireframe at least. So let's draw out a tiny little bit of road. And this is going to allow us to draw a roundabout. You kind of need a straight segment before you can curve, really. Takes a while to get used to, but you can bear with it. So let's change the angle of our curve here using our mouse wheel. And let's do a nice 150 meter roundabout with 180 degrees in the middle. That should be pretty tasty. And then we can complete that over there. And then simply, we can just drag these roads up. And we should find quite happy spaces. We can't define one-way roads just yet. There is a whole road tool system down here. You can add signage, you can set weight limits, traffic lights, a whole traffic management system if that's what you're into. Pretty incredible level of simulation, to be honest. But we can also upgrade one way, but you see if you try to apply this to a dirt road, it's like, yeah, this is a dirt road. We can't make this one way. So don't worry about directionality just yet. That's much further down the line. With this built and this third one, I'm going to bring this off on a slight curve. And then I'm going to send it off towards that second border thing. And let's just bring this straight over to Apatomo. Oh, I've deleted things here. So deleting things, roads and things that haven't been built yet are fine to delete. But if you want to delete a building or resources have already been delivered to start that building, you actually do need to go through the proper demolition channels, bulldozers, and in some cases explosives, if that's what's needed to get rid of a building. On realistic difficulty, that is. Back to the roundabout. I'm also going to add a little access here. This road network is likely to change quite a bit over time, but just some initial sort of flowing networks will get our city up and running here. Repeat the same exits this side. Then we'll probably have another one go down there as well. So some simple traffic flow systems that I've now connected to borders, just very basic dirt roads. We will eventually get them to gravel and then asphalt after that. But that is a long way away from where we are right now. Now, you'll also notice borders have electricity points here as well, where we will be importing power today. So let's begin to create our first infrastructure. From where we linked all the roads together right here, I'm going to bring this up. I'm just going to send this straight up as a bit of a spine for where we could start placing some of our first buildings. Let's bring a road down here. So let's talk about the first building we need, and this is a distribution depot. We get to place 5 of them for free at the start of the game, and then the actual buildings of the small distribution office and the medium are locked behind research trees. You see it says required research distribution office. That is done through the education system, which is quite far down the line from here, but that's okay. We will still use our redistribution offices for right now. And that road's not perfectly straight, is it? It's not indeed, so I'll delete that. We can tap F1 to throw our snapping on if we want to. And then let's place our distribution offices with no snapping on this time. And then you'll see as you draw a building up to a road, it will automatically connect with the little green strip. I'm going to place 3 of these down here for starters. And then the other first buildings we need to place is gas stations. So we need to provide gas for the various vehicles in our fleet that will build this republic over time, right? And I want these to be nearby to local industry because there's going to be a lot of vehicles parked around here especially. And then let's have our gas station just off the main road here. Be a pretty good place for it. We can also hold control and mouse wheel for a finer rotation. I will place a gas station here. And then I'll also expand my road network over here as well. And then let's start to bring some curves in, shall we? Let's make things a bit more interesting. And then where we have this exit here, we'll connect these 2 roads. And then let's have another gas station here. That's just on the other edge of town, by the roundabout, and also coming into town from another border, which again is a space that vehicles are likely to transition. So let's bring in our another free gas station. Again, we can place 12 of these at the start. We'll have that over there. So the very first thing we want to do is come to our distribution office, and we will be placing other types of office today as well. We want to buy a new vehicle. For rubles specifically, you'll notice that there's 2 currencies at the top. We have rubles and dollars, and I want to grab vehicles for rubles. The first thing we want to filter for is an oil tank, because we need to start transitioning liquid fuel, as you can see. So when we look at a vehicle, we can see some basic information. Its max speed, its empty weight, and its length. We can also see what type of materials it will carry. In this instance, we need fuel, so I'm going to grab 2 of these for right now. We will eventually have some more. These will spawn at our border house, and we can let the game play for the first time because we want these 2 oil tankers to come and arrive at the distribution depot. So here they go. This game has an incredibly slow pace, very slow burn, but such a rewarding simulation to enjoy at the end of it. So these guys are going to head to that distribution office I just assigned them to. In the meantime, we also need to start placing some storage units, and then our second set of offices, which will be construction offices, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's place our cargo. We want to come to our cargo and general storage tab, and then let's grab ourselves free open storage. Again, we can build larger ones, but we don't have the materials for them yet. So we'll just build some free open ones. And I'm going to want 4 of these. Let's build them a little road here, shall we? Let's have our materials close to the borders, good for obvious import purposes. And then let's create a little right angle here. And then we'll have all our materials just sat off the road here. This game has an absolutely banging soundtrack as well, which I'm sure you can hear it blaring away. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 open storages. And then I also want a aggregate storage. So let's come to storage for aggregate. And then we want to grab again a free open storage. And I'm going to have possibly 2 of these eventually, but just for right now to keep it very simple, I'm just going to have 1. Our vehicles have arrived. We'll come to them in a second. With these buildings that we've just placed, we want to assign them the very basic resources that will build our republic. This is steel, so we want to limit the amount here and make this 100%. One next door, we want to also limit the amount, but this time for prefab panels. The one next to that, we want to limit the amount for bricks and say 100% bricks. And then the one next door to that, we also want to limit the amount and then say boards. So steel, prefab panels, bricks and boards are the base foundation of a lot of buildings, especially in the beginning. Also mechanical and electrical components, but we'll build a warehouse for them later on. In our aggregate storage, we want this to be gravel, so we'll only store gravel here. Returning back to our distribution depots, we now want fuel. So we're going to come to our distribution office. I'm going to tell them that I want them to manage some tasks. First of all, you're going to come to the border. You are going to load up on fuel, which is the specific resource I need in this instance. You are then going to come to this fuel station and unload the fuel. Right? We don't need to take it because it's all it's carrying. And I want you to keep this at 70% load. So if this fuel station ever drops below 70% fuel, one of these fuel tankers will go to the border and refill it. That's what that's referring to. I did find when I started playing this game, workers and resources can have quite an intimidating interface. It takes a while to get used to. Once you've done there, you're also going to come to this one. And guess what? You're going to do the same. You're going to unload your fuel and then refill it when it's at 70%. Okay? This is going to cost us money. When we come out of the distribution office and click on the customs house, we can see that fuel costs this amount, right? When we also deliver resources here, all resources delivered to this customs house will be sold for rubles, so we can trade over the border with spare resources, which we will do to set up some initial starter money. When we play the game again now, you will notice our fuel tankers start work. Okay, when we click on a vehicle, it has an odometer. We need to maintain the vehicles, and they will break over time, just get too old. Like really crazy level of city simulation here. You're having to maintain your city's fleet of vehicles. It's pretty insane, right? It's pretty insane. So now we have our storage units over here, right? But we have no steel. Where is steel? We obviously can't make it ourselves yet. You can if you come into metallurgy. And then there's whole steel line productions you can go into here, iron processing plants that are much further down the line from where we are. So the other option is for us to import that steel and the other corresponding resources. However, obviously, a fuel tanker cannot carry steel. So we need some new vehicles. I'm going to keep this one empty for a third fuel tanker at some point. But the one next door, I now need some vehicles that can carry materials. So we want to grab some open hull. And again, we can filter by total capacity here. And there's various options available to us. Again, same deal, you can hover over, you can check how much it can carry, what type of materials it can carry, what it can load onto it as a flatbed. So lots of different things available for you to get involved with there. I'm just going to filter for total capacity and get the biggest one. And I'm going to grab 2 of these. And then I'm going to also get one covered hull as well. Same model, but this time it's covered. Again, those 3 vehicles will spawn at the customs house and make their way to the distribution office. And then in this one next door, we also need something that can carry aggregate, so that's going to be a dumper, of course. And again, I'll filter for total capacity. This BZ252 is a great early game one. It carries 25 tons, sorry, of most materials. It's pretty slow, but it will carry huge amounts. But because these aren't going to be used for construction, they're just used for distribution, I'm actually going to grab this slightly cheaper one here. I'm going to grab 2 of these, and then I think another covered hull. Same one. Yeah, they would arrive. They come from the border. There we go. Believe me, that the addiction you will receive from just growing your production chain here is it's such a rewarding experience. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, I've come across few experiences like this in my time playing video games. It really is just so unique, so good. Sketching out some new roads here. Let's now begin to place our next set of offices. So coming over to the very far right here for industry, we want to grab construction industry, and then I'm going to place our free construction offices. We can place 7 of these for free before we need to start actually building construction offices themselves. And I'm going to place 6 over here. And let's put these in a back-to-back configuration. And then link these in with road. Super, so that'll do nicely there. And then let's also add another junction onto the highway here as well. Let's have this one come straight down from here. And then across the 3 lanes. Cool. So a construction office is also going to house vehicles exactly like a distribution office does for us. However, these vehicles are going to be used for construction, obviously, given their name, not distribution. So let's finish off our distribution here, actually. So now our distributions have arrived. I want to set new task for you. You guys are going to come to the border where you will load steel, prefab panels, bricks, and where are we? Boards. Okay, so the 4 base materials we need to build all the early game buildings. You are then going to come to our steel, and they're always in this order as well, by the way, because obviously you can't tell. You're thinking now, which one did I make this? It's always steel, prefab, brick, boards. So this one here, I know this is steel. So come and unload all the steel, and same deal, keep this at about 60% full. Come to the one next door and unload all of your prefab panels at 60%. The one next door, please unload all your bricks. The one next door to that, please unload all of your boards. Okay? Which is great news. You'll see now that they go out there. They're also, your vehicles will head for fuel first before they start work, obviously. Kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? And then with the last distribution office, we want to set up tasks for you guys to come, and you are going to load up gravel. Sorry, we want to load gravel, not unload, sorry. And then take this to our aggregate storage, where you will unload all the gravel. And gravel's used quite a lot, so we'll keep that at 70% full, so we never really lag behind with it. I realise the day-night time cycle has kicked in. Maybe I didn't turn that off in the settings. YouTube hates dark videos, so I'm just going to adjust that setting. So you will get everything from the customs house, okay? Except for steel, which will be gotten from here. Prefab panels will be gotten from here. Bricks from there. And boards from there. Gravel will also be gotten from here. You can see it change when you tell it where it's getting it from. Okay. You don't have to do this with all of them. We can simply copy these settings now, which we will do. Copy, and then we can apply it to all 6 custom houses. This will begin getting your absolute very basic production chains going, right? We can see the flatbeds here dropping off the steel now. You have little steel coils that pile up. It really is like such a rewarding simulation to unfold. I think hopefully you can understand what I mean by the best ever city builder here. Sorry, the best ever city simulator, I think. So here's our smaller capacity dump trucks going to fill up the aggregate now. You see they tip it out? And there it goes. How great. Here come our first wave of prefab panels. And the city's beginning to come alive. Dirt roads are very slow, obviously, as you can tell. And we will upgrade to gravel, which will be a process we undertake together, I think. Fantastic. So this is going swimmingly well, isn't it? Vehicles going in for fuel. They will back up here, it's just the nature of things. Excavator's a little slower than everything else, obviously. But here they come. And then we're all doing the little things. Let's definitely make some further connections, right? Let's add this road in here. That certainly makes a lot of sense. I'll also hook that into the construction offices road as well. Try to keep the roads as organic as possible. And then let's have a little connection into here. Super. So the next thing we need to address is housing some electrical and mechanical components, because to begin building pretty much anything else, including our electricity network and our first industry, we need both of those components. So we want a warehouse. Let's come to general cargo, and I'm going to filter for a smaller warehouse. Let's do which one do we want? This one's 160 tons of crops. We won't be doing crops yet. 70 tons of electrical components and 100 tons of mechanical. It takes 295 work days to build. And you can see the resources it takes as well. Gravel, bricks, boards and asphalt. Concrete and asphalt will be brought from the border, of course, because we're not producing them yet. Or storing them, either. So let's build this small warehouse. And I want this to be part of this logistics center over here, right? So let's have our mechanical and electrical components being stored. We can probably have a few warehouses out here, maybe. We only want one for right now, but at some point we'll have multiple. And this then becomes a building site, right? And it's going to tell us what's wrong. So, saying construction has stopped because there are currently no workers or mechanisms here to help build it. Obviously, we've just placed it. It's also missing its base resources. So its first phase of construction is groundworks, where they need to have concrete, gravel and asphalt. The appropriate vehicles from the various construction offices will deliver these, okay? So we'll speed up our time here. Let everything get fueled up and distributed into the chain. So now all our vehicles are heading back out. Guys, that's let me know what you think of this on the channel. Let me know if you do want to see more workers and resources realistic mode. So yeah, wonderfully rewarding experience. So here comes the cement mixer. That's part of our construction office fleet over here. He's going to arrive on site to deliver. And you can click on the site here and see that, look, 10 tons of concrete has now just been delivered. This is the same process for every building. So you can see how the simulation and your production chains begin to expand with this is your very base foundation. And I hope this kind of setup here gives you a bit of an impression as to how realistic difficulty actually functions. It's kind of mental, to be totally honest. But incredibly cool at the same time, right? So we can see here as our larger dump trucks arrive at the gravel pit, that they will slowly fill up. You'll see them gather the resource, and then they'll take that on their merry way. And you can even see where they're taking it, right? They're taking it to our view warehouse, which isn't a very appropriate name for the channel, is it? So we can change this. We will make this Yugoslavia. However, that's just this town name, so please feel free to drop in any Soviet-themed egg names you can come up with. And now look at this. One of our excavators has arrived on site, so he can continue the job for us. It's just, it's so cool, honestly. I think that's what makes it so rewarding, is that because you're watching almost individual pieces of each building come together with your own logistics chain of vehicles. Just such a cool experience for a city builder to have. Here comes more gravel. Doesn't actually look like they're getting very much, does it? Oh, it's still full here. Maybe they only needed a touch, did they? Probably. You can see our work is ticking down, construction is now running without issue, and everyone is very happy. Power is the next thing, because we're going to need to power this warehouse. To do this, we want to come into electricity. Obviously you can build a power plant. We don't have the resources for that yet. If you're interested what a coal plant takes to build, for example, you got 871 tons of concrete, which is enormous. If you're wondering the comparison that for a warehouse, this one's 9.2 tons of concrete. So a lot more, basically. But yeah, we obviously can't do that yet, is the point I'm making. So let's come in to a transformer. This is a high voltage connection coming out of here, isn't it? So we'll grab our road And I want you, I also want to see topography here as well. Because I'd like to send the road directly from here, I think. More over towards those border areas that intersect in some of these networks. So there are excavators here. You'll see if I try to go over too harsh terrain, it says hold right mouse button to flatten. On realistic mode, you do need excavators free to be able to do that. Otherwise, it tells you that you can't. That can go over there for right now. That's going to go over to our first industry in a second. But let's line up our transformer here. So we want to come into our power transformer. And you'll notice that these things, especially on the border crossing as well, so high voltage is the big, large zap. They will only connect to each other. Obviously, you're going to blow your lines if you connect high voltage to low voltage. So I'm going to grab this one here. And I want them to be together. So let's try and eyeball that alignment there. That seems pretty tasty with the road as well, doesn't it? We'll have that. Let's connect that in. With the voltage lines, so again the voltages are divided here. We have high and medium, so I need a high voltage line. Let's come and grab again the carry various different voltages. This will be our power solution for a long time, so let's get 15 megawatts and we'll draw that in there. You'll notice that at the minute it's white. This means that it's just a blueprint, like you're just mapping out. It means you haven't actually started construction. To do this, this little button appears here to start construction of planned infrastructure. We want to hit this so those power lines start building. So that's wonderful. That's transformed high voltage to medium voltage for us. Well, we're not done there. We now need an electricity substation, okay? Because this is going to distribute power to our buildings over here. You see how it snaps? They do have a radius. At some point it will untether. It looks to be about 260 meters, I think, doesn't it? So, something to bear in mind. Water buildings will also work similar to this as well. At least the water substations, anyway. So, with our electricity substation, let's have this relatively central, because it's likely at some point other things are going to come and plug into this. And we'll have that there. You can also see that this has receptacles for medium wires, so I'm going to grab our medium wattage. Let's do just these ones here. And then simple case of drag and draw, just like you would a road. I'm going to keep it in line with the road. Again, I think just like with cities skylines, there's an awful lot of fun to be had here with the orientation of assets against one another. Really, really cool. Again, let's hit build planned infrastructure. And now these little yellow blueprints will be added to our to-do list, and our construction offices will go ahead and start work on them as well. So, a little bit of time ticked by. You can see our first workers have also arrived here too, which is just fantastic, isn't it? Really love that. What are you actually waiting on? You're waiting on boards, are you? Yeah, just waiting on the delivery of those resources. Yeah, the second of our construction sites is also getting a little visit as well now. First to arrive on scene over here. So, I hope you can begin to appreciate just how this begins to all pan out. Looking further across your infrastructure, there's so much. We need to set up food and shopping and groceries. It'll be a while before we even get the first people in, you know, because once they are in, they need satisfying with health and sport and government and culture, religion. There's alcohol addiction to deal with. It's a whole system that you piece together with these logistics networks. And the game really lives up to its name of workers and resources. And a thoroughly enjoyable experience. So we're doing 1.2 million renewables at the minute. We're obviously importing an enormous amount of resources. That will come down over time, of course, as we begin to produce our own. It'd be nice to get set up at least with the first industry starting constructing today. I doubt it will finish. So all these guys over here still moving goods. Of course, it's going out as it's coming in at the minute, so we will eventually begin to stockpile here. We get some more bricks coming in now as well. Our road crane is present at the warehouse here. 43% done through that, so it's not too bad. And our power network also coming too. There's some really nice little animations to enjoy as well. As the excavator drives away. Isn't that cool? Really is a lot of fun. So to discuss upgrading the road network, which is really something we want to do sooner rather than later, this is where our bulldozer will come in, as will our dumpers, because they'll also need to bring it over. We'll also pay for foreign labour. The first road I'd like to upgrade is this one here on the left. We can't do that yet, because when we actually upgrade roads, it will close them. Let me give you an example here. So I want to upgrade to gravel road. So what's a good stretch to do it? You just drove on that road, didn't you? Okay, so let's start with this one then. So this whole stretch, you see it now has roadwork signs on it. So cars can't drive on this anymore, right? This road is closed for roadworks now. So something to bear in mind with workers and resources is when you do upgrade your roads, you absolutely have to make sure that you have an alternate route, because if they can't make it there, because the road's shut, then your entire production chain collapses. So you know, some actual road maintenance to factor into the simulation is very cool. Just absolutely outstanding. More workers arriving here. Our power lines going up here as well. Nice little raw power line action. And into the substations, which are now starting to have their stuff delivered. Both steel and bricks being delivered on site. And here's our bulldozer. I imagine he's currently waiting for some gravel, is he? He probably is, yeah. Fantastic. Our warehouse is built now, which is great news. So over here, I want to store electrical components and mechanical components. There you go, 44% is fine. Now with our distribution offices, we want the one with the closed hulls. I can actually send this one to get it as well, because there's a closed hull in this distribution office. So I want you to grab electrical components and the mechanical components. And then as a new task, you also need to deliver that to there. You want to unload the electrical and mechanical components. You'll notice that there's more options available here. That's because this is indoor storage, so obviously we can store things like plastic, electrical components, mechanical components, etc. And then you'll notice that, okay, those, what are they called? Closed haul vehicles that carry will go and deliver them now. Which is perfect, because we'll need all that. We also want to tell our construction officers as well that we want to specify a new source location for mechanical components, get them from here, and electrical components, get them from here. And then we just want to copy that setting to all the other construction officers so they all obey the same rules. So no matter which one we click on, we can click on any of these, open up their source of resources, and then you can see where they're getting them from. Yugoslavia warehouse, and then these little aggregate storages up here as well. Here they come, hopefully with our first load of electrical components. That'd be great. Have them stored up here. You notice this building also has other connections as well. These are factory connections. You can import resources on and off of these, but I don't need them just yet. And now we have 4.5 tons of electrical components. The building is without power. It's very nearly about to receive power actually. Once we turn that on, that is, let's just import 10% right now for our current needs. That's all we need. And then as we begin to suffer blackouts and power bottlenecks, we can increase that at the border, because it will be a significant amount of time yet before we have our own power point. Here is our road in action. So you can imagine how long it takes to upgrade full city networks, can't you? Obviously at some point we'll just start building gravel or asphalt roads without having to move from dirt to them. But a preview of what awaits. It would be nice to have this road run all the way down to the border as gravel, because they move much quicker on gravel roads. Super, so everything's built over here now. Let's begin to look at our first potential money maker. Not that it will throw us fully into the profit, but it will at least take some of the sting out of pretty massive import cost at the minute. So we have multiple different types of industry. There's so many of them really. Construction's really fun to get into. Explosives is quite a good first industry. I think that only wants wood and gravel, I think, is it? But what I want is specifically fossil fuel, and then after that, oil. You'll notice as you look at the coal mine, it tells you what you need to build it, but it then tells you the maximum number of workers that this building can hold. That's because it needs workers, right? Someone has to be down the coal mine, mining the coal and sending it back up. With a pump jack for oil, you'll notice it doesn't have any worker requirements. That's because these oil derricks, the pump jacks, will just work out in the desert on their own, right? Now, usually you would come to your map, but we can't map out any oil deposits here because it says we require the research because it's realistic difficulty. We don't yet have the research to map oil deposits and coal and iron deposits, so it's kind of difficult to place. However, with the pump jack, when you move it around, you can kind of cheese past this, because as you move over an oil deposit, for example, right here, you see that we get a percentage value. Placing the pump jack themselves, these are fun little assets. They have a road connection and also a pipe output, so something we want to bear in mind. Let's place our first pump jack, say, here. Try another one again. It's kind of like you don't want to be too close in a radius, you know, you want to try maximize the placements if at all possible. We'll do 56% there. And then let's try another one. Just try and find the highest percentage you can. I think the best I'm going to get there is about 50, is it? Let's do 51. And then let's get a road out to these guys, of course. So this road I started drawing in earlier was the one. Yeah, come all the way through here. Now this is going to take a while to build. We probably won't get this finished in today's episode. But it might be ready for us by the time we have another episode. If you guys want one, that is, don't forget to let me know. There's a little short there. Let's just take it back a bit. There we go. Cool. So these, again, you can check what it is that they want to build. Let's just read that out for the sake of the video. So it wants gravel, steel, mechanical components, asphalt and concrete, all of which are freely available from our storage and warehouse facilities. Let's also connect this to the highway road as well, shall we? Let's have that go straight up there. I would love for these roads to be gravel one day, but you can see how long it's taking just to upgrade this tiny little stretch, because it needs the gravel and then it needs the workers. That is a long process, so we're going to have to make do with the speeds of dirt for right now. But we will get there. We will get there with it. Our oil setup isn't complete though, because we need to pipe this somewhere. So let's come into our liquid pipes here. And we want to have a look at pipeline. There are both underground and overground configurations, and I want to have 3 into 1, which is perfect for this because I've got 3 pumps that I want to put into one pipe. And you can see that represented on the asset again here, right? So I'm going to line these up. I'll place that there. Let's give it its little road connection. So I can find the right one. There we go. That works for me. Pipes, we want to build underground pipe connections. We can hit F3 to get an underground view. And then super simple case of just hooking these pipelines together. They'll just slot in very nicely. Super. And then it's all being pumped into one building at the minute. That's also, we'll do that in a second actually. So then now we want to store said oil slash fuel, right? So 3 different ones of these. This holds 1500 tons compared to 90. So let's get the larger one. Again, this has inputs and outputs on the building. And I'm looking for a large input. So let's have that one right there, right? See it auto connects for us. Beautiful. Let's have that there. Happy with that. Let's hit confirm construction on our next project. And then this will begin to construct. Let's have that go down to the arterial. We'll have it box off. And now we can just create this little oil complex that will begin to make us some very early game money. And of course, at some point, when we're ready to process the oil further, be that into a larger refinery, we're going to have 1500 tons of it ready to go. I'm also going to put another distribution office over here as well. I'm not going to use it just yet. But what I am going to have doing is the fuel tankers are going to run the oil back into to the border. So we can just sell it for some money basically. I'm not sure if there is a way to export via pipe, but I don't have that connection yet, I don't believe. I'm not massively amazing at this game, but I hope you can enjoy watching me play it anyway. There is a lot to learn. And then let's have our distribution office here. Okay. The fuel station for them. It's not too far away, but it will take them a while to get there. It's likely I'll probably put another gas station down here as well at some point. But we'll get to that. Okay, so now we can see it exactly like with our warehouses. We just have new construction sites going here now. Got our little yellow blueprints, or construction plinths, they're ready to go. Just like everything else, it wants its groundworks first, you know. I find that so cool that you have to watch each building go up and deliver its materials. It's such a much more dragged out process and simulation speed just because of that, because of like the nature of the game, you know. So we're running into an issue here. These big dump trucks are beginning to siphon off tons of gravel, which means we are missing out. So what we will do, I think, is take... Yeah, you can see them here. So do we have any open spots here? Got one here, haven't we? Let's not do it for that though. Let's do it for this one. I'm actually going to move this guy. I'm going to change his deep workplace. I'm just going to stick him into one of the construction offices for right now, because I will use that closed haul truck too. We also need to change the mechanical components here as well. And then with this one, let's buy another high capacity dumper so we can keep on top of that, okay? And I might even trade out. Yeah, let's move you two. I'm going to buy 2 more of those Chungus dumpers actually. They will go from there, and then from here I will buy another dumper once you've exited out. I need to actually remove the warehouse instruction from these guys now, because there's no closed hall there anymore, and give it to this one. So you go and get mechanical and electric, and then also add our warehouse to your stop. And it can take a pretty long time just to get familiar with Workers' UI. It's really intimidating at first. Big learning curve. But thoroughly worth it, I assure you. It really is. Cool. So yeah, we're absolutely burning through our gravel reserve because we're upgrading roads. Which is what, like I mentioned earlier, now would be a nice point actually for perhaps a second aggregate storage. But over time, I'm just going to let these construction projects run. And then we'll come back to our electricity substation live now. Yep, our warehouse is receiving power. We got our transformer doing its job over here as well. Super. We also want to plan a electricity substation over here, because these buildings, as you can see, will all want power. So let's have my substation there. Everyone is connected. And then we'll drag some medium wires back across the road. Again, I always like to try and make my power lines look nice. Little rural power pole following the road. Really a lot of fun. Where are we going here? Let's go to another connection on the transformer. This time we'll go to that one. And again, it's white, it's planned infrastructure, and then we can confirm construction. And our current fleet will pick up and go and do that. So I'll be back in a second. Just let some resources stockpile and a month or 2 roll by while these jobs complete, and then we'll check in with that oil. I've also forgotten to assign a construction office. Sorry. Incredibly important. Coming back to our construction offices, we'll make sure that these guys are looking for jobs auto search within a 3,500 meter radius. Otherwise, we'll have to manually assign. You should be able to reach that. You'll see as you hover over it where they'll go to, right? The further you increase that, that should kick you all off. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, don't forget to do that. You know, something so simple of a new construction site being out the radius of an existing construction office can slow you down there. And then look at them all go. Isn't it so cool? Don't think, it makes me smile so much. Really implore you to just indulge in the simulation available here. Like usually, like you guys know me, I'm usually more of a city painter person. But like this is a simulation and it's so satisfying to watch. No, you can agree now, if this is your first experience of Workers, that this probably is the best ever city simulator produced, isn't it? And it's nice to have a Soviet one as well, right? You know, so many of them are kind of Western themed city builders, aren't they? So, totally different vibe and aesthetic here. Set in this, you know, what are we in? 1960 here too, yeah. So like a really unique setting for what is a really wonderful game as well. Here they go. As you see how much faster they are? Let me, so let's look at a cement truck here, for example. On the gravel road. It's not too bad, it's still pretty slow, but it's not bad. And then cement mixer on the mud road. Much slower, right? You can see the benefit of upgrading to gravel roads so soon, which is something I want to continue to do as well. Let's add our upgrade gravel road here now too. Let's grab this first lane of highway because this is busy at the minute. Again, we'll want to do it in segments. Let's upgrade this one as well. You don't want to put too much on the production chain at one time, otherwise you just all your resources drain at once. A bit of a queue here waiting to get in for the aggregate. Takes them a while to fill up, which is where the benefit of, you know, much more complex aggregate storage comes in, because you can get more loading bays, it will load quicker. But they're obviously, they need workers. It's a whole chain of things. It's very, very exciting. It really is. Let's also add some more roads. Apologies, I keep turning the UI off. It's a bit of a force of habit, if you're wondering why I'm doing that all the time. This resource here is gravel, which I would like to have at some point. That's going to be a construction industry for us. Again, you can see we get a value here. So we'll definitely have value, but sorry, yeah, gravel, but we don't really have the infrastructure to support that just yet. Let's think through some of these roads where we would expect them to, just some further shortcuts around the interchange here. Then at some point we'll get into planning a town, likely up against the waterfront a bit. Probably out here, right? Is it going to be a good place for our people to live, for shop, for food, for culture, and for alcohol addiction? all the finer aspects of life, of course. Here comes a bus grabbing some workers. The workers will go up and down as well. You can see we currently need research to issue visas for tourists. There's currently no tourists here though. Another roadwork sign here again, and our bulldozer will continue. I wouldn't mind another bulldozer, and possibly another excavator. So there's a totally empty construction office here. These are all full now, you can tell by each of them will hold 4. Obviously larger construction offices will hold much more vehicles than that. But with this one, I wouldn't mind. Bulldozers are really quite cheap, aren't they? Engine power, is there a major difference? Let's go for a cheaper one, and then I'll also grab another excavator as well. Yeah, because that'll help speed up our road upgrades there. We've got a message. We've also unlocked a new vehicle type. We will unlock different vehicle types as the years pass by. We've just unlocked a 90-ton train hopper, which you can imagine what setting your train logistics is like, given the fact, you know, we're going to be hauling several hundred tons of all these components around the map. That's going to be very exciting, isn't it? So cool. So those bulldozers, they should go and immediately get fuel. And once they've reported to their office, and then they should come and start construction, which will be very welcome. And then over here, yep, Road cranes are arriving on site, excavators are here now, pipelines are repairing. Absolutely fantastic. Simply brilliant. In terms of priority, I do want to set a few of them. Electricity is very important because none of this will work without a substation. And then definitely one of the oil derricks as well. Pump jack over here is going to be named, made high priority. Please give me a name suggestion for Corno as well. And we'll rename that. That's just because we've placed assets over here, so it's like it thinks it's a new town, you know. You can see the radius of the town here, these little blue dots. Super. So I'm going to let this simulation just poot along for a little bit, and I'll see you in July probably or something like that. Our workers are currently digging up a pipeline here, which is what all these little mounds are here. Isn't it so cool? Really sweet. Really, really sweet. Although in hindsight, maybe it would have been better to put the pipeline above ground. We would have had to deal with the roads in that case, but we probably could have made it a bit better. But that's fine. We live and learn, don't we? But either way, our republic is beginning to form now. Our gas stations are keeping everyone fueled across the county. More road construction continue hearing as well. This is pretty boring to watch on camera, the road stuff, so if you guys do want the next episode, I will carry on upgrading the gravel road pretty much down toward the next border. And then also this primary highway. Putting through also wants the gravel treatment, but a lot of things want gravel at the minute, so certainly something to expand. But our construction vehicles are out at work. We've got electrical and mechanical components both being stored and collected here now. Alongside continuing highway work and distribution work as well. A tremendously enjoyable experience, everyone. A massive shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that support these videos with a roll call to our Golden Eggs, Bad Wolf, Blythe, Casino, Louis Adlam, Michael W, Phoenix MD, Spartan Angel, and Wesley Kip. Thank you so much indeed for all your incredible support, guys. Really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of this, and indeed if you would like to see a part 2 of our Soviet Republic row. Otherwise, let's thank you all so much for watching, comrades, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.